Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Peak Nutrition Podcast. I never really know what to say as like my intro greeting. I need like a thing. So, yeah, if anyone's got any suggestions, definitely hit me up on that one because, yeah, I'm just winging it day to day. Um, Today is episode 10 of the podcast, which I'm quite proud of. Never thought I'd get this far. Didn't think I had that much to say, to be fair. But it's starting to flow a little bit easier. Takes a little bit less time. We are getting there. I have got some really, I think, interesting episodes lined up that I really think would be actually beneficial. So keep an eye out for what's coming up. Today, we are talking about something that is called the all or nothing cycle. Now, you may or may not have heard of this. It's definitely something that hits home with me. I went through it for a long time. And I think for so many people that I work with, I would say it's probably the most important thing that's keeping them being stuck, making them feel overwhelmed. And essentially what it is if you think of like a pendulum, it swings one way, and that's when you go like really hard, you go fully in on your diet and your exercise. So you might only eat clean, you might have all your meals like home cooked, loads of ingredients, really fancy recipes, and then you might train every day, absolutely smash it. And then ultimately get a bit burnt out, things might not go to plan. And then as a bit of a reaction, the pendulum swings completely the other way. And that could be where you're boozing all the time, cancel your gym membership, sorry, and you're just doing nothing to take care of your health and fitness. And yeah, that's why it's the pendulum and it swings one way or the other. I'm sure it didn't take a rocket scientist to work that one out, but you get my drift. But the thing is that we really need to be able to embrace that middle ground, the gray area, the in between, the kind of like good enough. I just wanted to dive into a couple of the causes. And within the literature, it's pretty clear that the biggest cause that keeps someone in the all or nothing mindset is being perfectionist. And this is where you tell yourself that really high standards are necessary. And if you're not able to keep to those high standards, if everything's not perfect, then you just don't bother at all. You sack it all off completely. Because, yeah, like I say, if you can't be perfect, there's no point trying. And this really creates some unattainably high standards, which, in my opinion, the bar to improving your health and your fitness actually isn't that high. Like a few small changes can make a meaningful difference. Obviously, the more advanced you get, maybe the more granular we have to get. But especially if you are just someone that's going through this all or nothing cycle and you find that it's always one step forward, two steps back, then actually just finding a few things that you can do well consistently will have so much more benefit than doing all these swings. But yeah, the perfectionist mindset just keeps people really severely restricting. Like they feel like they've got to go hard on it. And then the second part of the cycle is really when we catastrophize any slip up. So ultimately, life is always going to get in the way. Your boss might be a bellend. You might have an argument with your missus. Yeah, I've heard that happens. Obviously, it doesn't happen to me. I don't know. Your dog might be sick. Something just gets in the way, and then you really catastrophize this. You make a big meal out of it, and then when that ties in with the perfectionist side of things, then you just go, "Oh, I may as well not bother at all." And this is where the old "screw it, fuck it," or what's officially known as the "what the hell" effect comes in. And this is where we just go, oh, I've eaten one biscuit, I may as well eat the rest, or I went out for a few beers Friday night, so may as well write off the whole weekend. But like I said, if we're actually going to move past this and move forward and start making like continued progress rather than this just spinning your wheels, one step forward, two steps back, it is really about accepting the grey area. So if we go back to our pendulum analogy, I'm sure you remember that one, it is that bit in between. We're staying away from these extremes. Yes, sometimes when things are all in our favor, we might be able to do a few more positive habits, but sometimes just making the best of the situation is all you can do. And it's so much better than just going, oh, because I couldn't be perfect, I won't bother. So if you are actually going to, I guess, reach your goals, so whether that be having a physique you're proud of, feeling strong, feeling fit, being a role model to your kids or anything like that, the key to success is moving forward all the time, even if it's not ideal. So yeah, imperfect progress, accepting good enough. Those really are mantras of what I do and how I help people. And like I said, that really actually hit home for me personally. I was very much like a go out multiple times a week, smash the takeaways, and then I'd get to a point where I'd get fed up with, say, how I looked or feeling unfit, and then I'd go really hard on my diet for a bit. Um, but I was just cycling between these extremes. So yeah, I know it worked for myself, and I see it work with my clients all the time. That once they can accept good enough, that's when they really do start making continued, sustainable, long-term progress. And I think one other important mindset point that is worth mentioning is that there are always going to be these situations that trip us up. There's always going to be things that test you. And what distinguishes the people that are able to make sustained progress versus the ones that catastrophize it and go back to square one is kind of viewing any off plan, unplanned, let's call them slip ups. Well, I don't particularly like the term, but they view these sort of things as learning experiences. So within my coaching, we always review anything that happened that they weren't quite happy with. We go, oh, can we try and rationalize it? Can we explain it? And then what would be a better way to deal with a similar situation if it was to arise again? And by viewing it as a learning experience, we're taking that moral judgment away from it. And we know that feeling guilty, beating yourself up are really poor predictors of sustaining a new habit or making a positive change. So the more self-compassion we can have around ourselves, if there is something that doesn't quite go to plan, the much more likely we are to get to where we want to be. So just to summarize why this is important and what it will allow you to do is that if you're constantly in this cycle of the extremes, the all or nothing mindset, then you're not ever really making progress. You're building any interventions on poor foundations that are ultimately unsustainable. But when you can just make the best of it, the best option that was available given the circumstances, and if something doesn't quite go right, don't beat yourself up. You just move on and focus on the next point. That's when you can start making meaningful progress towards your goals. And this is something that I really focus on within my coaching program. So if you feel like you are someone stuck in that cycle, if you need a bit of guidance to start embracing sustained, continuous progress, then please reach out because it is something that I enjoy working with. I feel like I'm quite good at it. And I want to help you get to where you want to be in a much more productive way. So yeah, if you need any help, reach out to me on at Peak Nutrition Coaching. Other than that, enjoy your weekend. I'll speak to you soon.